there, friends. Welcome back to another episode of Good Stories. I'm Josh Haynes, and this is my friend
Oscar Mendoza.
Yeah, and we are excited to have Oscar back. He was out for a month, and Kagan Stanley filled in for him. I'd love for you to go back and get a chance to watch that one. She did a great job, but it's good to have you back.
Yes, she absolutely did a great job, and I'm glad she was able to fill in for me.
Yeah, absolutely. And now we move into the month of March. It is March Madness. It's time to, well, by this point, you'll already have picked your brackets if you've picked one. My friend over here has chosen the Red Raiders to win the national championship.
How did you know that?
You are a crazy Red Raider fan. It's all over your office.
Red and black through and through.
Very cool, very cool. Well, let's jump into our first story. Oscar, why don't you go for it?
All right, so my first story is talking about a company or organization called Humans of Bombay. What they do is they go around telling stories of people doing awesome things. And on this particular occasion, they talked about Desraj G, who's an auto rickshaw driver. And for those of y'all that don't know what one is, and I had to look it up myself, basically a cab driver that's like in a go-kart with the 3 wheels, and they take customers around and around the city. And so that's what he does for a living. And he shared a story that approximately 7 years ago, he lost his oldest son, who left for work and never returned, only to find his body a week later. And then if even more tragically, he ended up losing another son 2 years later. And so he felt like he bore the responsibility of providing for not only his wife, but his grandchildren and even the daughter-in-laws that he had. And he assured one of his granddaughters that she would not have to quit school. And so what he began doing was working longer hours. He would start at 6 a.m. in the morning till midnight. And even then, they were just barely making it. Many times they didn't have a lot of food to eat, often enough. But when the daughter expressed her want to get a business education degree, he knew that what they were doing was not going to work. And so he basically sold his house. He stayed in Mumbai to continue working while his wife, his daughter-in-laws, and his grandchildren went to live with relatives in another nearby village. Of course, the awesome thing is that even though he did this, this is a big move.
Yep.
He knows that because his granddaughter is going to be the first to graduate in their family, that this is going to help them in the long run, and he's so proud of her and cannot wait for her to graduate. So the awesome part about this story is that many people online and through other media outlets saw his story and did an online fundraiser where they raised 24 lakhs. I believe that's how they call the money over there, and which is an equivalent to $32,000 US dollars.
Super
and
impressive.
So it's it's pretty amazing that somebody's still coming out to help him out.
Yeah, and I am consistently amazed at the sacrifices people will make for their families, the things they will do for especially their families and for the next generation.
Yeah, because we only have one family.
Yeah. Man, that's an impressive story. I want to tell you a story that kind of circles around this craziness regarding the war with Russia and Ukraine. I want to tell you a story about Tom Littledyke. He is a former British Royal Marine, and he loaded up a 16-seater minibus full of sleeping bags, pillows, and toys for all of these refugees who were moving from Ukraine and into Poland. And he pledged to drive the 1,000+ miles needed across multiple countries in order to get there to pass these things out and to begin taking care of, like I said, these homeless refugees who were fleeing the war over there. He began his journey on February 28th, and he set up a fundraiser, and it literally took Tom Littledyke, it took him 12 hours to get all of the money he needed in order to pack his minibus to the brim.
That's fantastic.
It is awesome. And so he ends up taking all of these supplies plus an extra, what is the equivalent, like you mentioned a moment ago, of about $5,500 with him. And he makes this statement as a man who is a business owner, just kind of living a normal life there in the UK. He made this statement. He said, "Too often do we think that we have to do something grand? And if it can't be grand, then what's the point? He said it doesn't matter what we do as long as it's something in the right direction. And I think that is, one, that's what our entire show is about, doing this. The people who do these things, just helping move humanity in the right direction. And so he does this 1,000+ mile drive through all of England, France, Germany, and into Poland, finally arriving at the border with Ukraine, where as of the end of February, kind of the beginning of March, there were more than 500,000 refugees who had moved into that area of the country. After loading the supplies, basically what he's done is he's using that minibus in order to transport people to places where they could go live if they know of someone that they can get to.
Oh, that's cool.
It is just an amazing story to an insanely tragic event right now in our world. And yet, one of the things that we believe, and I think one of the things that you get to see throughout tragedies and different world events like this, is that for as ugly as humanity can be sometimes, our ability to be compassionate is that much greater.
Sure.
And so, I'm just blown away by this man's dedication to go and to do what he's doing.
That's awesome.
Yeah. What you got next?
So this next story is talking about a police officer in Rogersville, Alabama, Officer Tyler Disson, who was actually getting ready to call it quits for the day when he heard the call of an apartment on fire with a possible entrapped child. And basically he's like, you know what, I'm going to rush to the scene. And when he got there, he heard, "My baby's inside," And so without thinking, even though that blaze was already pretty intense, he ran in there to save this child, rushed in, and within a few minutes had a 3-year-old boy in his arms. Now, when he brought him out, he was still kind of lethargic, wasn't really responding. But I'm happy to report that the family, although the baby did sustain some burns, he is doing okay. Even Officer Disson received minor injuries, and he's going to be honored for his heroic actions. Yeah. And, I want to take this time to kind of thank first responders.
Absolutely.
Me, myself, having needed that a month ago. So if anybody knows anybody from the Lubbock Firefighter 3 station, kudos to them, because, these guys go into places, they don't know anything about where they're going, yet they're there to help. And without them, I'd be in a different place because of it. And so, and not just Fire Station 3, but any first responders. Kudos to them.
Absolutely. I'm going to finish with one story. This is something that is it's historic. It's groundbreaking. And it is the nomination of Ketanji Brown Jackson to the U.S. Supreme Court. She is the first black woman ever to be nominated to this seat. This is not a political statement by me or anybody here at the Madera Companies. This is just simply us wanting to honor something historic that's taking place in our nation. At our companies, at all of our companies, right? We aspire to be a place of diversity, equity, and inclusion, that this is kind of built into the fabric of who we are and our policies, our hiring practices, and how we just want to honor relationships. And I think with so much political angst that kind of sits seemingly in America right now, with the racial division and with a lot of the struggles that we see between different races and the struggles we've learned of that people of color have to go through and have gone through, I think it's just nice to take a moment here to just take a step back and just honor people for their work and honor people for their efforts, to honor Judge Jackson for the young black women that we hope she inspires across the nation, for all the things that she's doing. And I think it's important for us to say, like, I can agree or disagree with your opinions or your politics, and I can still celebrate your hard work and what you mean as an inspiration for other people.
Sure. I mean, the hard work that it takes to even be recognized.
Absolutely.
For this position.
Absolutely. And I think it's probably appropriate. I mean, here we are. I'm a white guy standing next to a brown guy, and we're doing this together as friends. And I think at the Madeira Companies, we want to be a place of diversity, equity, and inclusivity. That we bring people together and we show that with shared mission and with when you treat people the right way, you can do great things together.
Absolutely, yes, sir.
And so for all of our friends who are out there, the people of color across the Madeira Companies, we want to celebrate you. We want to honor your stories. We want to be sensitive to the things that we don't know and the experiences maybe that we've not had. And we just want to keep doing great things together for others.
Yeah, I mean, I had the opportunity to see Drew Pearson, who's, by the way, the Super Bowl champion in 2021.
Dude,
Hall of Famer.
All of your teams are on display.
I know.
This episode, by the way.
I just couldn't help but take, and I'm going to paraphrase something that he said, and it has to do with this diversity thing as well, is that you don't have to be the biggest, the fastest, but if you surround yourself with the bigger and the faster people, they're going to make you better.
Yeah.
And, and so, like I say, I'm paraphrasing exactly how he said, because he said it really awesome. But, the fact that, there's so many diverse people that have different strengths, and, us bringing it all together so that we could make ourselves, each other better.
Yeah.
That's very awesome that I find with this,
absolutely,
with our company.
Yeah. So that is our episode for March. In probably the words of Oscar Mendoza, go Red Raiders.
That's it. Go Tech.
And you guys have a great rest of your month.
Thank you.